संस्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। So now we were studying that section in the 7th chapter of Shrimad Bhagavad Gita, where we find Bhagavan Krishna is enumerating as himself to be the essence of the entire creation, each and every entity of the entire creation. And he was giving the various examples. Now today we will enter into the 12th verse. From 12th, we will try to cover from 12th to 14th verse, where we find Bhagavan Sri Krishna is speaking himself as the essence behind the three gunas. That when the phenomenal existence comes into existence, when it manifests in the form of Prakriti, which is constituted of three gunas, Sattva, Raja, Tama. So he is the essence behind that. And not only that, he is himself beyond the three gunas. Though from him the three gunas have emanated, but he transcends them. He is in no way affected by the three gunas. As the two terms which we generally use to define Ishvara and Jiva, that Ishvara is Trigunatita. He is beyond the three gunas, Trigunatita. And we, the ordinary beings, they are bound by these three gunas. We are always bound by these three gunas. So he is beyond the guna, beyond the maya. He is mayadhish. And the ordinary jivas who are in the clutch of the three gunas, they are called mayadhin, adhina, to be under the sway of the three gunas. So now what these three gunas actually mean. First let us try to understand this, and then we will enter into the discussion. So generally we say that Sattva Guna speaks of a temperament. If any person we find is very calm, quiet, contemplative, discriminative, has the control over his senses, doesn't allow his senses to always interact with the world, withdraws them, and keeps his mind calm and tranquil. Such a person we call is a Sattvic. And Rajasic is an ambitious person. He can never sit quiet. He always has to respond to the circumstances of life in such a way that he can get some benefit out of it. He always has some future plans that I have to be established in life. I should have wealth, I should have name, fame, position, good relations. For this I have to work out. All these ambitions are there. And he's an extremely active person. He's Rajasic. And who is Tamasic? One is lazy, indolent, intoxicated person. Maybe have resorted to drugs or alcohol or whatever other stimulants it may be. Or he is extremely impulsive, very quarrelsome, lustful, very immediately gets angry, short-tempered. So this type of persons we say tamasic. So these are the three broad categories with which we divide the entire humanity. We will find, yes, that we all fit in any of these three categories. We all fit into one or the other. It's not that we all, our characters are defined by just one guna. There's an interplay of the three gunas in all of us. There is not a single human being who at moments do not feel lazy, do not feel depressed. At that time we find they are tamasic. And there are persons who may be extremely active, but at time they may feel like resorting to some calmness, to some contemplation. So he also has that sattvic aspect. But when we define a human being as sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, what we actually want to mean, that's the predominant characteristic of that person. The other gunas interplay always will be there. But some person, by nature, we find most of the time he is very calm, tranquil, meditative. He is sattvic. It doesn't mean that the other gunas doesn't have role in his life. They always interplay. But that's a predominant guna. That's why I call him sattvic. For a rajasic, the predominant guna is he's very ambitious, always trying to work on his plan to build his life. And the tamasic, who is always lazy, intoxicant, always indolent, or extremely impulsive, having anger, lust, and other negative qualities, which clouds his intellect. What actually it means? Now, we understand that these are the three gunas. But the Lord is saying that the entire creation is constituted of these three gunas. Now, this creates a tremendous gap in our understanding. That what actually it means. Many say, yes, that there is tremendous action in this entire creation. And then there is something like inert, like a rock. And then there may be some balance between the two. Neither too much action nor it's total inert. There's a balance, a flow. And that constitutes the entire universe. But in a real sense, if we try to understand the idea of sattva, rajas, tamas, what actually it means. If we have to translate it in the modern days scientific terminology, what will be the most appropriate terminology which can define the three gunas? So you will be amazed to know that it is actually nothing but actually the stimuli response conditioning. That we all respond. Whenever the life, what is the difference between an animate and an inanimate object? A thing which has life, a thing which is inert. It is just this basic characteristic, the capacity to respond to a stimuli. A piece of rock can never respond to a stimuli. But even a small microbe, it has the power to respond to the stimuli. Swami Vivekananda, in one of his lectures in Jnana Yoga, starts with this idea that a small ant is crawling on the track of a rail. A huge locomotive engine is running on the track, and the ant feels the vibration. It is such a small ant, it will be just immediately crushed by the locomotive. With such huge power it is coming. But the ant, when it feels that its life is in danger, peril, it can just simply come down from the track and the train moves on. As Swamiji says this locomotive with this tremendous power is something which is inert. It doesn't have the capacity to change its direction by its own. And the small creature, insignificant small ant, that speaks of the rise. It responds to the stimuli. When it finds the danger, immediately it comes down from the track. So the basic fundamental principle that sets life apart from matter is the stimuli response condition. Now, from where this stimuli response conditioning comes? See, from the spiritual perspective, as in the last class also we were discussing, that Bhagavan mentioned that he is the life of all the beings, Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu. So from where that life came, the conscious principle gets reflected in the body-mind complex, and now because of ignorance, the conscious principle gets identified with the reflection and it starts thinking itself as the body-mind complex, and that's the origin of life. So now let us try to understand from where this stimuli response conditioning comes. Once the life is originated, we all will understand what happens. The small microbe, when it has this life, as we say, because of ignorance, the ego generates. What is the ego? It is nothing but the echo of the self through the body-mind complex. Just the way when I am standing in front of a mountain and I am shouting my name, then my name is echoed back. If I am not aware of this phenomenon called echo, I may be easily deluded by thinking that someone is calling me from the mountains. It's that we find small children get deluded. They're as if someone is calling him. So that's the way when the self is asserting, constantly it is asserting that I am eternal. I am ever fulfilled. There is no need for me to satiate. I am ever fulfilled. If when I am hungry, I need food. This question of satiation comes. The self is beyond all wants, beyond all needs. Ever fulfilled, eternal. So these are the two things it is asserting. Now from the reflection, the echo comes. I am eternal. I am ever fulfilled. But now the self, being deluded by that echo, thinks that it is a reflection which is saying I am eternal and I am ever fulfilled. And now being identified with that body-mind complex from which that ego is coming, there's an eternal chase for eternity and fulfillment through the body-mind complex. That's how the life has generated, and that speaks of the entire process of biological evolution. No one wants to die, because someone within says that you can conquer death. Through eternity we find that we have never conquered death. But still, you just go to the science, technology, it deals, a great amount of it deals with this only, that how to live longer, how to enjoy a more healthier, longer life. So that's the basis, with the science, with the technology we have developed, our lifespan has increased. And that has created its own problem. In all the Western nations now, I was reading that one of the big reason for economic recession is the proportion of the senior citizen is increasing. The one who is financially most probably not independent. There are senior citizens who are financially to a certain extent independent. They may think, but it is actually not. Why? That after all, they are living their life on the interest, on the pensions, and that way the state feels that a huge amount of money is being siphoned just for taking care of the elderly population. And that is one of the big cause, because previously when the senior citizen proportion was much less, 1:5, where 5 were working, 1 were citizen. Now it has reduced to just 1 person is working, 3 persons are retired, and in another 10 years it will be just 1:2 or even 1:1. So that's a different subject. But what we are saying here, that with all our attempt for eternity, we have most probably increased our lifespan to a certain extent, but can we ever think of attaining that immortality in this physical body? We also know it's impossible. But that eternal chase is going on. Eternal chase is going on. We never stop for it. Why? The self within is constantly asserting, the reflection of the self within, the echo is constantly asserting, you are eternal. You are ever fulfilled. And we being deluded by being identified with the body-mind, we are trying to realize that eternity and fulfillment through the body-mind complex. That's how the life has evolved. And then the next word was tapas chashmi tapasvisud. Tapas. No animal thinks of tapas. Only as a human being we think of tapas. Tapas speaks of renunciation. That my senses are being drawn towards the sense objects, I try to restrict. Why should I restrict? Because in the entire process of evolution as a human being, we have developed that faculty to somehow realize that there is a spiritual dimension of existence which is eternal, which is ever fulfilled. Because of it getting identified with the body-mind complex and being deluded by the echo which was coming from that reflection, this entire process of biological evolution happened. But it is after all a futile attempt to try to realize eternity and fulfillment through something which is like in constant flow. And there is no need for it because I am already it. I am being deluded by my reflection as myself. This eternal chase from microbe to a human being was going on. That's the jivana. Now as a human being I have the power of this tapas. That this is a futile attempt. There is no need. But I have already, my senses have developed a tremendous impulse because of its past endeavor for ages together, for lives together. It has become impulsive. I suddenly cannot stop it. So I need tapas. So here that the renunciation is the first sign of spirituality. So just the same Lord sitting within our heart has made us to go through the entire process of biological evolution at last to make us realize that it is all futile. You are already fulfilled. The innermost core of your being is the self, which is already fulfilled. Be identified with that. And for that, tapas, renunciation is required. Now let us just see the entire process of evolution where the life was evolving. How it has evolved? That we developed the capacity to respond to the stimuli. A small microbe, what it is doing? That when you give a drop of nutrient, it is drawn towards it. Raga, attachment for something which is favorable for its existence. If I give some toxin, it moves away from it, runs away from it. Dvesha, abhinivesha, hatred, fear. So these are the responses. That as I think I am a limited being, I am a creature which constantly from within someone is asserting you are eternal. But I find as a body-mind complex, at where this little change of stimuli can kill me, I am responding to the stimuli, isn't it? So this life speaks of this stimuli response conditioning. Now how this response happens? For this response, two things is needed. That instead of going into the very intricate this technicality of Vedanta, in a very simple way, let us try to understand that how we respond to the stimuli. The stimuli should create some knowledge at first, isn't it? Just to say that when I am sleeping, I wake up, I see the red flower. The something is outside as a suggestion, it is coming through my senses, and my mind is generating the knowledge of the red flower. And then I respond to it. If I am a devotee, I go and pluck it and offer it to the divine in the altar. Or if I am just one who loves gardening, I will just not pluck it. I will nurture the plant so that it can have more flowers. So whatever may be my response, what has happened, how I responded to the stimuli, that in the mind I had the knowledge of the rose, and then as per my tendencies, I have responded through some action. That's what I have done. Now what this sattva, raja, tama is, let us try to understand. So in Vedanta they say that that mind is the storehouse of all the information. The world is not outside there. The entire world is here within. Many think that education is just like pouring of information into an empty mind. That mind is like an empty jar. Just the way I pour water into it and it gets filled, our mind is something like that. That as a child, my mind was blank, and my parents and my elders, they started instructing me. I was getting filled with the information, and that how I became knowledgeable. It's very interesting. Vedanta said ages ago that no, the mind is the storehouse of all the information. If this information is not in the mind, I can never get the knowledge of that thing. That's why Swami Vivekananda defined education very nicely. Education is the manifestation of perfection already in man. All the impressions are there in the mind. External world is just a suggestion. What is there I can never know. It is just a suggestion which the senses are perceiving. They are just a stimuli which the senses are perceiving. And that stimuli is what it is doing in that storehouse of all the dormant information. From the storehouse of all the dormant information, whatever is this corresponds to the stimuli. Just in a library, the way we pick up a book in the library, what we do, we go to the library, and first the book which we want, we have to search the catalog and find its accession number. And the librarian will go to the exact place and pick up the book. That's what is happening in the mind. Our mind is the library of all informations. External stimuli is just like an accession number with which the exact thing is picked up, and that's what gives us the knowledge. That gives us the knowledge. The redness, as we tell, the red flower redness is not there. It is just a particular wavelength of light is touching your eyes. The light doesn't enter your brain. It is totally dark there. That light is getting converted into a nerve current. And that particular frequency of nerve current, when it reaches the brain, it projects the redness which goes and envelops the flower to give us the sensation it is red. All the 5 perceptions are happening that way. So what it speaks of? It speaks that all the informations are lying dormant in the mind. That how we are responding to the stimuli. That all the informations which are lying dormant in the mind, the stimuli comes and like an accession number, it picks up, it accesses a particular, picks up a particular information from that storehouse of information, and that manifests as knowledge. And once that knowledge, now that when I see that flower, now the ego comes into picture. That I am a devotee, I want to offer that flower to the divine. That ego now interacts with the knowledge. Knowledge by itself doesn't the capacity to act on it. The ego, what I have to do with this knowledge? Now I react to it. I go plug the flower and offer it to the altar. Now just see what sattva raja tama is. That all the informations which is lying dormant in the mind, that's the state of tamas, darkness. All the informations are there, but they are dormant. It is just like the hard drive of your computer. The one who doesn't know that what it is will feel it is just an inert thing. The moment I connect it to the computer and then access that there are so many files, one file I click, immediately it comes and manifests in your screen. Did you ever knew that so many things are there in that hard disk just by saying no? So our mind is something like that. The hard disk, till it is connected to the computer, and then till that hard drive is connected, until you click a particular file, it's all dark. So all the informations which are lying hidden in the mind is the state of tamas. The moment a stimuli comes and a particular information manifests as the knowledge, what sattva is spoken of? So sattva is illumination. That is sattva. Now your ego is interacting with that knowledge. I am a devotee, I want to offer this flower to the divine. So I go out. See, this is a response. I'm going out, plucking the flower, offering it to the divine. So this response is Rajas. Now when in Vedanta, in yoga, it has been spoken of, this world is three guna mai. Is there anything apart from this? Can you imagine what we are doing through our life? That all the informations are stored in our mind. That's the tamas. The moment a stimuli comes, it is getting converted into sattva, illumination. Sattva is illumination. And then I am acting on it. That is the rajas. Is there anything apart from this which I can think in this life? Now you will understand why that we want to say that this sattva, raja, tama is nothing but actually stimuli, response, conditioning. Now from how it has originated? Again, that because of life, that when the ultimate conscious principle comes in association with Prakriti, which itself is an evolute of the consciousness, that Prakriti finds expression as these three gunas, sattva, raja, tama. That life, whenever we speak of life, that life finds expression. See, a stone doesn't know that the world exists. What to speak of a stone? Even the sun doesn't know this entire universe exists. It is just giving light, but it doesn't know it gives light. It needs, unless there is a living entity, an animate entity, who certifies, oh sun, you are big. You are illuminating the entire solar system. The sun itself doesn't know. It is on my certificate, its existence is there. The entire universe exists because I exist as an animate being. Otherwise, what is its existence? Its existence is not there. Who will prove its existence? The sun doesn't know it itself that it exists. So that's why in Vedanta says the one who is residing in your heart is Mahato Mahiyan, is greater than the greatest. Sometimes as a human being we think I am such an insignificant creature crawling on this earth. Just see the stars, the suns, the galaxies, they're infinite, huge celestial bodies. Where I am in compared to them, an insignificant creature in this earth crawling. That's what we say generally. But in Vedanta, they are just taking us to some another paradigm. What is, you are thinking in physical space, you are insignificant. But think, that conscious principle within you, when it is finding expression through the mind, immediately this universe pops up. It was not there. What was there, we don't know. Something was there, but what's there, we can never identify. Whatever I am seeing is nothing but the projection of the mind. And apart from this, is there anything which we can think in this universe? No. This constant interplay of the sattva, rajas, tamas, which is making us to interact with this world, perceiving this world, interacting with this world. So now, first, the very basic idea of sattva, raja, tama is what? Sattva is illumination, tamas is darkness, rajas is activity. It is not something outside. Tamas is darkness, means all the informations which is in your mind, unless it is activated, it is darkness. That's why state of deep sleep is called tamas. Because all the informations are there in your mind, it is not vacant. They're all there, but it is not being illumined. Tamas. You wake up, you open your eyes, look at the flower. Immediately that knowledge of the flower flashes in your mind. Sattva. Now you react to that. Your ego comes and interacts with your knowledge, and accordingly you react. That is rajas. So rajas is activity, sattva is illumination, and tamas is darkness. Now you will see that why we say a sattvic person is one who is contemplative. Now this sattva, rajas, tamas, the sattva is illumination. A person who is contemplative, what he is doing? That he is using some stimuli. Maybe it's his own thought process. That I am thinking of the divine. that thought itself is the stimuli which is activating his mind. But is he responding to it through any action? No. He's simply sitting and meditating. He has controlled his senses. So his mind is being constantly fed by stimuli, but it is not finding expression as rajas. It's not finding expression. That he's not in a dull state. That Swamiji used to say that opposite poles look alike. A man who is just simply, most probably, in the name of meditations, sitting and drowsing, he's in the state of tamas. But the one who is really meditating, his mind is extremely alert. He's constantly focusing on something, but it is not finding expression as action. So now you will say why I say it is sattvic. That stimuli, which corresponds to sattva, that is the predominant mode of his existence. He's always, the stimuli are there to illumine his mind. The one who is an academician, for him also the same thing. He's gaining knowledge, most probably he's a theoretical person, and that knowledge is giving him a type of bliss, happiness, but it is not finding expression as action, sattvic. And even if sometimes action is there, that action is secondary. Like a person who is a accomplished musician. Action is there, but it is mainly the stimuli which has taken him to a state of flow where the action is happening almost spontaneously. Even he is not consciously playing because he has become so skilled. It is going on and he is in a state of bliss, sattvic. So the more the stimuli is predominant without responding to it consciously, actively, he is a very sattvic person. Who is rajasic? Stimuli is there, but whenever the stimuli is there, instantly he is reacting, responding. At each and every circumstance of life he is thinking, I have to use this circumstance in such a way that it can help me in achieving certain goals. I shouldn't waste my life. Each and every moment I am trying it to convert into some form of action. This rajas is very active. This response is very active. The state of response is very active. Whatever stimuli comes, immediately I have to respond. I shouldn't waste a single circumstance of life. It has to be responded, and that speaks of rajasic, a very ambitious person. Rajasic, always full of action. He's immediately converting the stimuli to rajas. And tamasic, the one who is sleeping, we did not explain. His mind, he doesn't allow the stimulus to activate his mind. He's always in tamas, deep sleep, laziness, indolent. One who is intoxicant, the same thing. The mind is shrouded, clouded. And also an impulsive person, extremely angry person, short-tempered person, or a one who is extremely lustful. What has happened? A particular bias, a particular obsession has clouded his vision again. Our vision gets clouded in so many ways that in Vedanta that story is there. That if you are extremely biased because of your obsessions, your mind gets clouded. Like a stump of a tree is there in the corner of a park. A lover is in search of his beloved. From a distance thinks that stump in the twilight hours as his beloved. A thief is running away from the police. He's scared of the police. From a distance he thinks that stump to be the police. Police who is in search of the thief, from a distance thinks it to be the thief. The mother who is waiting for the child for its play to be over, to take the child back home, from a distance thinks it to be the child. And the child for whom the play is over, it's the twilight hours, is searching the mother. From distance it thinks it's the mother. So that's the example in Vedanta they give. What it speaks? As per our bias, even the stimuli is there, it is not picking up, the accession is wrong. It is It is supposed to that, that as we were saying, that a particular accession number, a particular book has to be picked in the library. Here also, a particular stimuli has to access a particular information to give you the knowledge. So it is picking because of the clouded vision, but it is not picking the correct thing. It is picking something which is distorted. And distorted vision leads to distorted action. You will find behind all our anger, we repent later. Oh, I shouldn't have been angry. So why? That at that time my vision got so clouded, and that leads to some action which instead of building our life disintegrates us. So now that's why it is called tamas. Why? That first I don't allow my mind to get stimulated. The stimuli is not entering when I'm in a state of laziness, indolence, sleeping. And even if the stimuli is there, it doesn't allow, it still keeps the mind clouded because of intoxicants or because of tremendous obsessions, biases. It picks up something which is not the correct corresponding knowledge for the information which it is supposed to pick up. It is not that exact. So it is giving some distorted knowledge. And that's person we say is tamas. So now you will understand that from where it is all happening, the one conscious principle sitting within is, because of ignorance, getting identified with this body-mind complex. And then the question of mind and ego comes, where the storehouse of all the information is there. And the ego is responding to the stimuli. But once the knowledge is generated, it is responding. That's what is happening. So now we will understand why the Lord is saying that all the three gunas originates from me. So with this, an introduction, let us now enter into the 12th verse in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So what God is saying? Ye chaiva satvika bhava rajasas tamasas chaye matta eveti tan vidhi natvaham teshu te mahi. So ya cha eva satvika bhava rajasa tamasa scha ye. So what is saying? That all these three states of our existence, the sattva, rajas, tamas, that whatever states pertaining to sattva, sattvika, and those pertaining to rajas and tamas, rajasa, tamasas chaye, they from where? That know them to proceed from me. This matta eveti tan vidhi. They are all proceed from me. At the innermost core, the self, the Lord as the self who is sitting in the innermost core, from him all these three gunas are emanating. And still I am not in them. The self is never getting affected by them. Just take the example of a projector. In the projector, the light is there, which is being projected through the reels. The reels are constantly moving, and the light falls on the reels, and on the screen, a motion picture we see, isn't it? So many things are happening on the screen. Constantly the scenario is changing, the characters are changing. But if you go back and look at the light which is falling on the screen, is there any change in it? No. It is just as it is. So our mind with all the information is like that reel. A particular stimuli comes and the reel rotates. Corresponding to that particular stimulant, the stimulant accesses a particular information, and that's on that information the light of self is falling, and that's being projected on the screen. That's being projected as the knowledge, illumination, and that is constantly changing as per our interaction with the world. But the self is just as it is. There is no change in it. So that's why I am not in them, but they are in me, because their existence depends on me, but I am not in them. So just the way the mirage can drench the sand particles. We give that example again and again. that it is just a projection, superimposition. Just the way you see that what happens in the desert, I see that huge reservoir. It's nothing but the mirage. I feel that there's a huge body of water. But does it have the capacity to drench even a single sand particle? No. It's a mere projection. So that's why that huge reservoir in no way can affect the desert. But the existence of that huge reservoir is because of the desert, which is the substratum on which it has been superimposed. So that's why natvaham teshu te mai, that I am not in them, but they are in me. So we say that why this projection? That Swami Vivekananda in one place is saying very nicely that the Lord is one, ekoham vahusyam. He is one, he became many. Why he became many? He is ever fulfilled. There is no need for creation. Why? Swamiji says very interesting, the way I can see everything, but I cannot see my own face. To see my own face, I need a mirror. The world, the entire universe is nothing but the projection of this omnipotent, all-powerful Lord. He can do anything and everything. From him, he has projected the universe. And in each and every particle, there is the interplay of sattva, rajas, tamas. You may say, yes, I understand in the human being, the sattva, rajas, tamas is there. In all creatures, but what about in a rock, in a piece of stone? It is all tamas. You say that all the three gunas are there in each and everything. The three gunas are not separate. They are interplay of this three guna is going on. They are not separate existence. As we saw, the tamas, the moment the illumination comes, it is getting converted into sattva, and then it is getting converted into rajas. In the stone, the same universal mind is there. All the informations are there in each and every atom. In each and this, even in science, they have started saying the universe is a holographic universe. What it actually speaks of? That what is there in the macrocosm is there in the microcosm. Very interesting. To give with an example, you will understand very easily. Suppose from a distance, I see a cross. I see a cross somewhere. And then I go near to find out that with what that cross is made. I find that innumerable dots are there with which that cross is made. But the dots are of the structure of small cross. And then I take a magnifying glass. I take a magnifying glass to find out that what each dot again is made of. And I put a magnifying glass. Again I see that single dot, which itself is a cross, again it is made up of infinite number of still smaller cross. It is a microcosm and the macrocosm is built in the same plan. Even in science, they have started saying that this universe is a holographic universe. In a single drop of water, the information of the entire universe is there. In our mind, the information of the entire universe is there in each and every particle. Why I said is tamas? The stimuli in no way enables to bring out the corresponding. It is stored there. But the stimuli in no way helps to bring that corresponding knowledge to be illumined. It is always dormant. So it's not that that it is just inert without any information. All the informations are there in each and every particle. But why I call it is tamas? Because the stimuli doesn't have the capacity to create knowledge and corresponding action. So that way everything in this world is nothing but is constituted of sattva, rajas, tamas. In something tamas is more predominant, in some rajas, in some sattva. Why we say that even in a small atom there are certain stimuli which acts on it. In magnetism we find that iron filings are moving. So not the way in which we think of consciousness, but they do interact. So the play of sattva, rajas, tamas is there in the entire universe, in everything. So now why he became many? The Swamiji say that the Lord is omnipotent, is omniscient, but to realize that he is omnipotent, omniscient, he needs a mirror. Just the way I can see everything, but to see my face, I need a mirror. Similarly to the Lord, to know himself needs a mirror. So he created it through the entire creation out of him. And this entire creation is there to act as a mirror for the Lord to find his nature. Now, what is tamas? He is going in front of some mirror and finds it's extremely hazy, maybe like a pond which full of dirty water. He cannot see, almost even the outline is very hazy. He is not satisfied. And then he goes to some, most probably a pond where the water is still clear. Now he sees his outline, but his features are not that clear. He's still not satisfied. He gets a shining metal in which now he can see him much more clearly. Then at last he gets a mirror, but it is full, it has some dirt on it. And then he cleans the dirt. Now he's satisfied. Yes, I can see. So these three gunas, which is lying dominant, constitutes the entire universe. They are like the mirrors. In tamas, he cannot find out his real nature. Rajas, to a certain extent, the mirror is clear. He is responding to the stimuli. And in sattva, now there is a chance for him to know his real nature. He sees him that yes, this reflection, I am not this reflection, I am the self which is ever fulfilled, which is eternal. Now he is satisfied. Now there is no need for that mirror. Now he lives. So though these three gunas are something which is within this, within the domain of this phenomenal existence, but sattva has the capacity to take us beyond this phenomenal existence to liberation. Sattva is also binding, as Swami Vivekananda very interestingly has told, that a golden chain is also a chain. An iron chain is used to bind you. With a golden chain also I can bind you. That's a golden chain is also a chain. But this thing, the sattva, though it is a chain, it has the capacity to release you from the bondage. But it itself is something which is beyond, which cannot go beyond this phenomenal existence. There's a nice story of Sri Ramakrishna. These stories helps us to understand the concept. That is the story of three dacoits. The three dacoits, one day a person was passing through the jungle, a wealthy person was passing through the forest, and suddenly he was attacked by three dacoits. Three of them came, and finding him to be a rich person, they bound him nicely to the stump of a tree. First they took away all the wealth he had. They took away, and now one of the dacoit told, "What's the use of keeping him alive? Our purpose was to get the wealth, we have got it, let us kill him." And then the other dacoit told, "Why to kill him? Just let us bind that. We are afraid that he may go to his village and he may inform the police, and the police may be in search of us. That's our fear. That's why we want to kill him. So why to kill him? Our purpose will be served if he cannot go to the village. Let us tie him to the stump of a tree and leave. He cannot escape. He himself will die, but we need not kill him. Let us just tie him to a stump and just forget about him." So all the three agreed. They tied him nicely to the stump of a tree, and three of them left. Now the third dacoit, who was just accompanying the other two, after some time he came back. He was a bit compassionate one. He told, "Oh, it must be giving you a lot of pain. Okay, let me remove this bondage from you." He said, remove the bondage. He removed the rope with which he was tied, that he was removed. And then this person told, "Well, you cannot go to the village. This forest is so dense. You will lose your way. You cannot find the path out to it. But we are quite familiar with the jungle. I know the way. Just follow me." So he guided that person just to take him out of that forest. And when he came to that fringe, the end of the forest, and then he showed, "Just see now, your village is visible a long distance. It's already in the dusk. It's almost a bit dark. So can you see your village? The lights is visible. Well, yeah. Well, yes, now you can proceed. You can go. Now this person felt indebted that after all he could have been killed, or even he would have been kept that in the forest tied. He has released him and he has guided him out of the forest. So though he is a dacoit, still that out of gratitude he told, why not you come with me? Come with me to my village, be my guest today, have dinner, just stay with me for the night, and then tomorrow you can come back. And then the dacoit said, no, there is no way I can go there. The police will catch me. After saying this story, the Sri Ramakrishna says, the one who said kill him is the tamasic. It destroys. The one he said tied him is the rajas. We will find that with all our ambitions, everything, we get more and more attached to this world. This binds us. That he is a rajasic. And the one who showed him the way and showed him the village from a distance, but he himself cannot go there. That is beyond his domain. Police will catch him. He is the sattva. The sattva is the one who is still in that forest. He cannot go out of it, but he can show you the way out of it, to the liberation. So what a nice story that Sri Ramakrishna is saying. So these are the three gunas. So which has originated from me, but they cannot in any way affect me. But another example Sri Ramakrishna gives is snake. It's in its fangs, in its mouth, in the fangs, it is full of the venom. It is always carrying that venom, but it is not affected. The snake is in no way affected by the venom it carries. But the one it bites, it immediately starts having that effect of that venom. It gets poisoned. It can kill him. So that's why he's saying the Maya Dhish, the one from whom the Maya have originated, who is the Lord of the Maya, it is his, but he is never getting affected. But the phenomenal existence is bound by this strong bondage. We can never escape from it. So that's the thing which is being mentioned here in this verse. And then the 13th verse is also the continuation of the same idea. What are they saying? So this 13th verse of the 7th chapter. Tribhir gunamair bhavair ebhi sarvamidam jagat. See, this entire universe is nothing but the expression of these three gunas. Tribhir gunamair bhavair ebhi sarvamidam jagat. Whatever you are saying. Mohitam nabhijanati mamebhya paramavyayam. Being deluded by this panorama, prapancha. The word prapancha means prakrishta rupena pancha. These five senses, outgoing senses, they create a hodgepodge, a wonderful mixture, a khichdi, and with which we are so much deluded, constantly interacting with that, we forget the one who is projecting, sitting inside, the light inside the projector. It is just sitting inside. So that's what he's saying. No mohitam, being deluded by these three guna, na abhijanati, no one knows me. Abhijanati in Bhagavad Gita is again and again, you will find, is having lot of prefixes. It could have says janati, that instead of saying abhijanati, na abhijanati means na abhijanati, that they cannot know me. That just janati was sufficient. So we may think that just to maintain that anushtup chanda, they have used those prefixes. No. Actually, those prefixes are very important. Abhijanati. That I am, that sometimes that knowledge means what? I am ignorant. By knowing something, I become knowledgeable. The thing which I never knew, that I come to know. That is knowledge. So here, it is not something that there was absence of knowledge and by some procedure I get the knowledge. It is not like that. The Lord is always sitting in my heart. There are two ways that, in Sanskrit there are two words, prapti and apti. Prapti. Apraptasya prapti. The thing which was not yours, you get it. Apraptasya prapti. That is the prapti. And apti, Something is already with me, but I have forgotten about it. I was deluded. I was thinking something else as my real identity. And now I get back that knowledge. That knowledge was not something which I was devoid of. It was always with me, but it was clouded. So this is a special type of knowledge. That is, knowledge is not something which speaks of getting something which was not there. It was already with me. I was forgetful about it. Now I just again regain back my memory of it. It is already with me. That's why that abhi prefix has been used. That it's not that Lord something you have to attain. He's sitting far away, high up in the sky. No. He's here in the core of my being. He's always with me. But somehow, because I am always looking outward, as in the Upanishad they say, this paranchi khani vyatrinat swayambhu tasmat parak pashyati na antaratman kaschid dhira pratyagatmanakshat avritta chakshu amritatvam icchan. Very wonderful. That in a very poetic way they are saying that the Lord has inflicted our senses in such a way that it always look outwards, not within. Paranchi khani. Khani means speaks of all the indriyas, with which I am always looking outside. I never look inside. Kaschid dhira. There are few, the calm one, the few dhira, the wise one, who knows the secret of our existence. So what he does? To find out the core of my existence, pratyagatman. The one who is reading these two words, parak speaks of moving outward. Paranchikhani, Vyatrina, this first was speaking of going outward. And now pratyagatman, pratik speaks of going within. The some who are the wise one, the dhira, they, to find out the core of your existence, find out the pratyagatman, avritta chakshu, stops his interaction with the world and dives within. It was already there. To find that who is already there, for that the word abhi, instead of janati, the word abhijanati has been used. The one who is deluded, he can never know that, who is within. That's why the negation, na abhijanati, mamebhya param avyayam. They doesn't know me, who is sitting at the core of the every being, as the param. Param means who is beyond this three guna, supreme, and he is imperishable. That our chase for eternity is something futile, because he is already there. It is all a waste of energy. Avyaya, imperishable, is there. They don't know. They are constantly interacting with the external world. They have forgotten that the self is there as a immutable existence sitting within. And then how to overcome this inscrutable power, Maya of the Lord, is almost impossible. So that in this section, in the 14th verse, he says, what he says? Daivi hesha gunam is a very, very important verse in Bhagavad Gita. Daivi hesha gunamai mama maya duratyaya mameva ye prapadyante mayam etam taranti te. That this Maya is something Daivi, inscrutable. How it works, how it binds us, it is something almost impossible for us with our limited human resource to get beyond it. Mama Maya Duratyaya. Duratyaya means almost unsurmountable. You cannot cross by yourself. Thinking that yourself to be all powerful with your Purushakara, I will do. It's impossible. Bhagavad Kripa is important. Here, the idea of grace comes. Mameva ye prapadyante. The one who resigns to me, who takes refuge on me. Mayam etam tarantite. He can cross over this Maya. In the words of Sri Ramakrishna, Mayar pare jete hole, Maya dhishke dharo. Simple words. If you have to go beyond the Maya, get hold of the Maya dhish. What's the idea? That I have realized that I have been bound in chains with the stump, as we were saying, that the dacoit has chained him. So something like our condition is like that. Can I by myself get rid of that chain unless someone comes and opens it for me? It's impossible. With all my knowledge that we are bound by this stimuli response conditioning, can this knowledge help me? Impossible. A drug addict knows what is harming him. Can he come out of this addiction? Almost impossible. By himself, it's impossible. So this knowledge itself doesn't help us to get rid of that situation. We find it in our addictions. We know the knowledge is there. So here, with all this, we may be aware of this Maya, of this three gunamayi Maya, in which we are bound. But how to get rid of it? The Lord is saying, take refuge on me. So this is the idea with which even Bhagavad Gita will end at last. The 18th chapter, you will find that famous verse will come. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhya moksha ishwami mashucha. The one who is beyond the Maya, he is saying, as Krishna, as the core of our existence, he is saying that relinquish all the dharmas. Throughout the Bhagavad Gita, so many yogas I have taught you. Karma yoga, jnana yoga, raja yoga, bhakti yoga. I have taught you. And now he is saying, relinquish them all. Then what was the use for teaching them all? Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhya moksha. I give an assurance. If you can do that, I will take you to the liberation. But then what was the need for all those things? So, Sri Ramakrishna is to say a very nice story. That is all for getting your wings tired. Till your wings get tired, that real resignation will never come. You will always think, I do have the capacity to go beyond it. You will be too much relying on your own strength. You have to exhaust that to really feel that I cannot. And then that resignation comes. Resignation is just not a word of the lips. It has to be your inner feeling. And he has to state a story. A bird was sitting on the mast of a ship. It was in the deep waters of the ocean. And now it felt like going to the shore. It flew to the east, couldn't find any shore. It was tired, came back, took a little rest, again sat on the mast, went to the west, same thing. No, couldn't find any shore. It was tired, came back and again sat on the mast, went to the north, to the south. Nowhere it could find the shore. It was extremely tired. Its wings were tired. Now that sense of resignation came. Let the ship take me where it has to take. It is now sitting. So this is the story which Sri Ramakrishna says in the gospel. That all these various yogas is just for making the wings tired. It is required. And then the real sense of resignation will come. When we are doing all the sadhana, what is the biggest paradox of all the sadhana? The I is very predominant. I am meditating. I am doing karma yoga. I am discriminating. It is that I from which I have to get rid of. I have to get rid of that I. And that is the prime factor which we are always holding on to. This big paradox. How can I get rid of this I? As Sri Ramakrishna used to say, when one devotee asked, when shall I be free? His immediate answer was, when I cease to be. And with all our sadhana, this I is getting concretized. I am meditating. Then what's the use of it? At last, when we get tired, the true sense of resignation comes. Oh Lord, I myself just release from myself from all my endeavors. Please take care of me. Then immediately the grace starts working on us. With one example, today's class we will end. Suppose you have climbed a tree and you are sitting on a branch, holding onto the branch, you are sitting there. Now to fall from the tree, is there need for any endeavor? No endeavor is required. You just leave the hold, gravity will automatically pull you down. The moment you resign, leave your hold automatically. Now we are holding onto the branches of this tree of Maya, of Samsara. Holding onto it. Sometimes when we are very much worldly, much rajasic, with full of activities, we get kicks from the world, and then we feel no, I have to lead a religious life, contemplative life. It's just like I was sitting in a branch of a tree, it had some ants, and it started biting me. I released the hold of that branch and got hold of another branch, and that I term as the spiritual. This is all spiritual. But I forget the basic thing, I is still there. And the mukti cannot be there. Still you are holding on to that I. When at last through all the sadhana, when you get tired, the real resignation comes, what you do? You release the hold. If you release the hold, what will happen? Gravitation will pull you down. But the grace is working upwards. How? In the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, this Purushottama Yoga, there we will find it starts with that idea. This tree of the world is upward down, upside down. Urdhva Mula Adha Shakha. So we are holding on to this tree, the branches in this samsara. With all our sadhana, when the tiredness comes and the true resignation comes, and I say, oh Lord, you alone can take care of me. I resign myself to you. The grace is always working. The grace is not conditional. That it is there for some, it is not for this, it's for all. The one can release the hold. The same way the tree, one released the hold, the gravitation acted. Here in this tree, which is upside down, the moment I release the hold, the grace is acting upward. It takes me to the core of my existence, the consciousness, the Lord who is the core of my existence. He takes me, the grace takes me to Him. This Purushakara is required to at last develop that resignation, and then the Kripa works. So they are all complementary. It's not that I may say that no Purushakara is required. No, it's required. The one who says no Purushakara is required, I just am depending on the Lord. It is just his word of the mouth. He has not yet realized what resignation is. So for the true resignation to come, we have to get our wings tired. And then that real this prapatti, that resignation comes, self-surrender comes. And then you will reach the Lord. Mameva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. So that's a wonderful idea. So this idea, again and again in Bhagavad Gita, it will be coming. To give that in the final conclusion, in that 18th chapter, the same idea will be again reiterated and reintroduced. So this is the beauty of this Bhagavad Gita. So with this discussion, we stop our class today. Again, we will continue for the remaining verses. Just to say that the next Sunday will be the last class before we have a break. Again, the classes will start in the end of January or February. First week of February, we will let you know. But next week will be the last class before the break. So with this, we stop our discussion today. Thank you all. Namaskar.